morning and welcome to our almost daily devotional for today. This is a reading from the Gospel according to John, and it's going to be in chapter 6, starting with the 41st verse, and it goes like this. Jesus responded, "Don't grumble among yourselves. No one can come to me except through the Father, unless they are drawn to me by the Father who has sent me, and I will raise them up at the last day. It is written in the prophets, and they will all be taught by God. Everyone who has listened to the Father and learned from him comes to me. No one has seen the Father except the one who is from God. He has seen the Father. I assure you, whoever believes has eternal life. I am the bread of life. Your ancestors are manna in the wilderness, and they died. This is the bread that comes down from heaven, so that whoever eats from it will never die. I am the living bread that comes down from heaven. Whoever eats this bread will live forever. And the bread that I will give for the life of the world is my flesh." Now, I don't know what your week has looked like. My week has been unsettled. It's been unsettled. There are just some weeks where you feel a little, not blah, but a little off, a little like you're not quite in sync with the rest of things. And that is sort of how I have felt this week. And so then I turn to my Bible in the morning to read it, and I read a story from Jesus that makes no sense to me, right? What does all this mean? What is the bread of life? And I'm the bread of life, and my life is my flesh, and my flesh I'm giving to you is the bread of life. And if you believe in me, you'll have eternal life. And all of it just seems so confusing. It's not practical. It doesn't speak to us in a practical way of our day-to-day life, right? It becomes challenging to find the meaning in this passage. And so I read it again, and I noticed at the very beginning, it says, you shouldn't grumble amongst yourself. You shouldn't grumble amongst yourself. And I think maybe that's the lesson for today. That we're all kind of maybe in this weird space where we're uncomfortable. We're uncomfortable and we're unsure and we're uncertain. And maybe we've gotten to a place where grumbling becomes the easiest part. Maybe we've gotten to a place where complaining or believing the worst of someone or hearing a story that is unbelievable and believing it to be true becomes our default. It becomes the easy way to think of life, to interpret stories because it makes us feel good to be in the right. And yet we see this story from Jesus where he reminds us that none of us really know what God means. None of us really know who God is. We don't have any of us exclusive right to truth on the nature of God, except we know that Jesus is the way to get there, right? We know that without Jesus to giving that sacrifice, without Jesus providing the bread of life, that we don't get that eternal peace. Maybe we've forgotten that. Maybe we've forgotten that the essence of who we are as Christians, the essence of who we are as a church community, the essence of who we are is not whether my denomination is right or my understanding of the Bible today is right and yours is wrong, but it's about us coming together to eat the bread, to not grumble, to hear each other's stories with words and ears of kindness and grace, and remembering that the only source of life, the only source of truth is Jesus, who is the bread of heaven. Maybe that's what we need to remember. God bless.